I would hang my head too, because the world now is looking at your face.
Because she was an angel. She was a beautiful little angel.
Is everybody ready to proceed?
Yes.
Okay, any preliminary matters?
Judge, I do have a stipulated set of redactions to the body cam from yesterday that we've agreed upon and everyone signed. I just want to.
I have one witness that's not going to be too long, and then we're going to have the autopsy photographs. So I don't know if the court wanted to.
Everybody needs to be alerted out there. The second witness is coming up. It's going to be when we're going to do the autopsy photographs. Are there family members or people out?
There's some family members here. We've warned them.
Are y'all planning on staying in or stepping out when that happens?
Staying in.
Okay, let me instruct you clearly. I better not hear any outbursts, emotional or otherwise. Because if I do, I'm going to excuse the jury and hold people in contempt of court. Is that clear to everybody? Is that clear to each defendant? Mr. McNabb? Oh. Ms. Bell, is that clear to you too?
Yes.
Okay. Is everybody else ready to proceed?
We are good.
Okay, let's bring the jurors in. We're talking about up here for the defendants to realize and everybody to realize, we'd already heard testimony that along the trail they found the coat, the bong, the empty wallet, and maybe rolling papers. I was curious as to where that was in relationship to where the baby was found, because they didn't talk about it out here and all these measurements and everything. And I was just told up here at the bench that the reason why is this was done a month after that. And those items have been picked up, and whereas you had something, the log and everything to tell where that was, there was nothing to tell where precisely those items were picked up. So when we go on our jury view today, that's not going to be pointed out to you where those items were found. So is everybody clear on all of what we talked about up here and what we're all talking about? Okay, any other further questions of this witness?
No, Your Honor.
You may step down. Any reason why he might not be excused?
We'd ask you to be excused, Judge.
No objection.
You're excused from any further attendance on the court.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You may call your next witness. I should have asked this while I had lucky. Y'all come up here for a second again. We're about to, next witness is going to be the doctor who performed the autopsy, I believe. And during the course of this, you're going to see pictures of the child that's going to be laid out. I don't quite know how to tell you this. We had a whole meeting yesterday with the media and everything to make sure that those images were not going to be shown out onto the internet, live streamed, or whatever. And I'm again instructing the media, do not show those pictures. I just want to make y'all aware of that. As jurors, the state's producing the pictures trying to prove a point. So you have to view the evidence at some time. You may choose to do it out here. The photographs that are going to be seen are going to be introduced into evidence, and so they'll be back with you themselves back in the room. Okay, so is everybody aware of what I'm saying? Okay, you may call your next witness.
State calls Laura Dsell.
Whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you. Please state your name.
𝗕𝗿𝗄𝐿.
Ms. Weatherford, what is your relationship to Tim Bell?
He's my brother.
And what is your relationship to Courtney Bell?
She's my niece.
And Megan Sorrells is?
My daughter.
And do you have a son named Craig?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Your family tree here on the diagram is previously submitted as State Exhibit 13. Can you just take a look at it for a second? Because I'm not going to probably have it Can you see that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Is Gerald your husband?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And your two children are Craig and Megan?
Yes, ma'am.
And Craig is married to who?
Diane.
Okay. And then Diane's mother is?
Melissa.
Okay. Now, where did you live in October of 2017?
I lived on Moat Road.
Okay. And did your daughter, Megan Sorrells, live over there off of 36 in High Point Buffalo Park?
Yes, ma'am.
Were you involved at that point in time in Courtney Bell's life?
I didn't see Courtney and Chris much. It was a while. I mean, 6 weeks to a month, I think. I mean, 6 to 8 weeks, I'm sorry.
Okay. Had you seen the new baby yet, Clarissa?
Yeah, I went to the hospital and
I'm
saw her.
sorry, Caliyah.
I went and saw her at the hospital.
Okay. At some point in time after the baby came home from the hospital, did your daughter contact you on or about October the 3rd of 2017, upset?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you tell the members of the jury what she was upset about?
She was just tired with all the kids, with her 4 and those 2.
Okay. Do you know how long she'd been watching those kids for?
Not exactly.
Had it been more than a day?
Oh, yeah.
And when you found out that she was tired or needed a break, did you contact anyone?
I called my brother, 𝗕𝗵𝗿𝗶𝘀.
And what was Tim's reaction?
He said I should have called him before then.
Okay, so he was upset with you?
Well, I mean, maybe a little.
Okay. What did he do?
He went to get him. He went to my daughter's house.
Were you over there at your daughter's house?
No, ma'am.
Did you learn at some point in time that he was able to get one of the children, the baby, but not the toddler?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you go somewhere?
Yeah, to find where Clarissa was.
Okay. And did you track down where Courtney and Chris had gone off to?
Yes, ma'am. Somebody called and told me where they was.
Okay. And did you end up finding her over off of Woodlawn Road at a friend's house?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, why did you go over there?
To see if I could get Clarissa.
And why were you trying to get Clarissa?
Because my brother was worried about her, and I didn't know the people's house they was at, so I was just worried.
Okay. When you got over there to that residence, did you have contact with Courtney?
Yeah.
And was there any law enforcement officers there?
Yes, ma'am. An officer was there.
And did you talk to Courtney about getting Clarissa?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you talk to Tim at the same time?
Well, Courtney was talking to my brother on the phone, to Tim on the phone while we was there.
Okay. And did she make any statements about giving the child back?
Yes, ma'am.
What did she say?
She said she would give the girls to him for the car,
And what car was she talking about?
the PT Cruiser.
And do you know whether he agreed to make that trade?
No, ma'am, I don't remember.
Did you end up getting, I've got some Kleenexes right here below you, or actually they're right there on the bench next to you. Kim, did you end up talking Courtney into letting you have Clarissa?
Yeah, Courtney let me take Clarissa.
And where'd you take her to?
I met my brother at 𝐊𝐢𝐬𝐭 High School on 36.
And did he take Clarissa from you at that point?
Yes, ma'am.
Now I'm going to draw your attention back to October the 7th. Did you have the occasion on that date to learn that there was a problem over at Courtney's residence that morning?
Yes, ma'am. Courtney called me.
Okay, and do you remember when that was that she called you?
I don't remember what time it was.
What did she tell you when she called?
She told me her baby was missing. Her baby was gone.
And what did you do?
I started screaming, did you call 911? Call 911. I mean, that's all I could think of.
Had she already called 911, do you know? If you don't know, don't speculate.
I'm not sure.
Okay, so did you go anywhere after that?
I went straight there. I drove to Courtney and Chris's trailer.
Did you do it rather speedily, or, I mean, not traveling, but getting out of the house?
Yeah, I went there fast. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and when you got there, who was there when you arrived?
There was 2 officers inside the trailer with Courtney, and Clarissa was there.
Now you live, you lived on Moat Road. That's over off of 162.
Yes, ma'am.
Am I right about
Yes,
that?
ma'am.
Okay. So about how long a drive is that from?
Well, I took the back roads instead of going the long way, so From there, usually it took about 15 minutes, maybe 15 minutes to get there.
Okay. And when you got there, you said that Courtney was there and some deputies?
2 deputies, a female and a male.
Was Melissa Davis there?
No, ma'am.
Did you ever see her there?
No, ma'am.
Did you offer to do anything or help in any way when you got there?
Well, yeah, I went through the house and started looking for the baby. I mean, just, that's all I knew to do at the time.
And where were you looking?
Anywhere and everywhere. I mean, cabinets, closets, anywhere I could find.
Was Chris McNabb there when you arrived?
No, ma'am.
Did you see him helping to search in the side of the trailer to look for the baby?
No, ma'am.
Were you there when he returned?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you describe what happened? Where did you see him at?
He come walking down the first, which would be the first driveway of the trailer park.
And were you close enough to talk to him, or
No,
you
I
talked to
never.
somebody else?
I never talked to Chris that day. Not then.
Now, on the following day, on October the 8th, did you have the occasion to learn that a body had been found in the wooded area off of Henderson Mill Road?
Yes, ma'am.
And how did you learn this?
My husband was at the search.
Is that Gerald Sr.?
Yes, ma'am.
Your son's name is
Gerald Craig.
Gerald Craig. Okay. And so, did your husband communicate this to you by phone?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you try to communicate this to Courtney?
Courtney had called me on my phone and told me that they was gonna ride over my house. And my husband called, I think it was my cousin's phone. I'm trying to remember exactly because I want to get it right. I was on the phone with Courtney and my husband called and said, I want to say he told me that they had found her. And I was still talking to Courtney. And Courtney was coming there, and Courtney asked me if I had heard anything if from the police or anybody. And I really can't remember what I said then. I remember our officer was beside my husband, and he wanted me to get Chris and Courtney to come over there to my house. But somebody texted Courtney. I think Courtney told me somebody texted her and said that they had found the baby.
Could it have been your son, Craig?
I think it was, but I'm not positive.
Okay.
And after that, the phone Courtney was on talking to me, it went dead.
Okay.
But before it went dead, I could hear people in the car, and I heard someone tell Chris to run.
And did Chris get out of the car, to your knowledge?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you see Courtney after this?
Not right after that. I didn't see Courtney till later on that night, I think.
Where was that at?
I really don't remember.
Those are all the questions I have.
Mr. Carter.
Pretty Judge. Hi, Ms. Woodland. How are you?
Hey,
I know this has been hard on you. I just have a few questions for you, okay? The October 3rd incident. Now, you're not saying that Courtney wanted to give somebody or sell somebody Clarissa for the PT Cruiser. That's not what you're saying.
I'm not saying that.
No, she was upset that Tim had come by to get the kids, and she had called the police. The police were out there at some point, right?
Yes, sir.
And I think at some point the officer told her, "You just need to chill out. Why don't you just let your dad have them till things cool off?" Do you recall that?
I remember the officer saying that.
Okay.
I sure do.
And basically was she just saying, okay, I'll do that, but I need a way to go see my kids, so I need a car. Is that really, in effect, what she was saying? In other words, she wasn't trying to trade anything. She needed that car, and she was willing to do what the officer said. Is that fair, or am I?
Yeah, Courtney made me promise that I wouldn't keep Clarissa away from her. keep
Right.
her from her.
And she didn't have any other transportation other than that
No,
PC
sir,
Cruiser.
she didn't have no transportation.
And Tim's house was not within walking distance
Oh,
of
no.
the mobile home park.
No, sir.
Okay, so, so just, you know, sometimes our words, you know, can be misleading. You're not saying she wanted to just give the child up in return for a car,
Well, I mean, you could have took it 2 ways.
right? Well, how did you take it?
At the time, the way she worded it, I'm really not sure.
Okay,
I mean, I'm not positive.
that's fair enough. Now, on October 8th, this is the day that Caliyah was found. Your husband Gerald was out with the search parties, so he would have been one of the first people to know that Caliyah was found. And it was fairly obvious, I guess, to him and to most people that Caliyah was not alive when she was found. Is that, in fact, I mean, they never even took her out of the bag, right?
Right.
Okay, so he being on the scene, he let you know that Caliyah had been found, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Did he indicate to you whether she was dead or alive?
No, sir.
All right. Did he indicate to you that she had been out in the woods all night?
Well, I knew she had been out in the woods all night because, I mean,
Well,
she was missing.
Right. Did he indicate to you that she was
No,
found?
no, he didn't.
That she was found in the woods.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. And so you were talking to Cortney when he called you, and you tried to relay the information as best you could.
Yes, sir.
And you are aware, as you were talking to Cortney, that someone, possibly your son, had texted her.
Yes, sir.
And do you know whether that text indicated that the child was dead?
No, sir, I really don't.
Okay. And so at that point, you heard someone yelling, "Get out of the car, Chris."
Yes, sir.
Do you know Pamela Hamby?
Yes, I do.
All right. Are you able to, do you know for sure whether or not it was Pam? Do you know that it was definitely not Pamela Hamby that said that? I know that's I hate
You confused me the way
I
you
know that's
worded
a
that.
double negative question. Let me try again. Do you know for sure that that was Pamela Hamby that said that?
I'm almost 100% positive that it was Pam Hamby that hollered that.
All right. Can you exclude her as being the person that
No,
said it?
no, sir.
Okay. Do you know why she told Chris to run?
No, sir.
Okay. And based on the situation and what you heard at that time, you believe that Chris did get out of the car at that time?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
Mr. Frost?
Hi, Ms. Weatherford.
Aye.
I just have a couple questions, and they're a little bit similar to Mr. Carter's. But this phone call that you heard between Courtney and Tim, that was on the 3rd of October, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And you kind of framed it up when you were testifying under direct that it was just a simple, she's trying to get the car back. And I know Mr. Carter asked a similar question, but and willing to give up the child. That's not how it was, though, is it? I mean, did you hear the full could you hear both ends of the conversation? They'll get the full context of what was going on?
No, sir, I couldn't hear what her daddy was saying.
Okay.
No, sir.
So, and did Courtney explain to you that she had no means of transportation? Caliyah had a doctor appointment, things of that nature?
I heard her telling her daddy that on the phone.
Okay. Have you ever known her to just want to trade her children for anything?
No, sir.
And the officers that came out proposed a plan for the children that night, didn't they? About, because I believe your brother already had, Tim Bell already had Caliyah. And my client agreed, fine, I don't want to fight over it, keep Clarissa.
Well, Courtney would let me get Clarissa, no doubt about it, because she knew I'd take care of her. She knows, and she knows I would have never tried to keep her from her.
Right. And would you say she had a lot going on in her life at that time? I mean, some issues.
Yes, sir.
Do you think it was better that she would, at times, rely on family with the girls to avoid exposing them to some of these things?
Yes, sir, I really do.
All right, thank you very much.
Ms. Hahn, you may step down. Sir? Well, you need to speak up, Mr. Carter.
Yes, sir. Hi, Ms. Weatherford, just a couple more things. The time that we're talking about when the police were there on October 3rd, Chris McNabb wasn't there at that time.
I never saw Chris there.
So it wasn't his idea about trading anybody for anything?
Chris wasn't there.
Okay. And when you were on the phone with Courtney, your husband called and Craig was texting. At some point during that conversation, you said Chris did it, something of that nature. You said you thought Chris may have done it. Is that fair?
That was my feeling from the get-go.
Okay. And that you said that on the phone at that time?
I probably did.
Thank you, ma'am.
Ms. Hahn, you may step down. You may call your next witness.
State calls Pam Hamby. Be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
All right, thank you. Please state your name.
Pamela Hamby,
Ms. Hamby, how old are you?
47.
And do you have any children?
Yes.
How many?
7.
Is Courtney Bell one of them?
Yes.
Are you related to Chris McNabb?
Yes.
How are you related to him?
I'm his aunt.
So is his brother Michael, or is his father Michael McNabb your brother?
Yes.
Did you raise Courtney?
No.
Who raised her?
Her grandparents and her dad.
Nevertheless, do you know her?
Yes.
I'm going to draw your attention back to October the 8th of 2017. Did you have the occasion to be with Courtney on this date?
Yes.
And what were y'all doing on that afternoon?
I picked her up and we went to my mom's. She got her makeup and stuff on, and then we left and was headed towards the newscast at the trailer park on 36.
Okay, and when you said you put your makeup on, or she put makeup on, why was she putting makeup on?
She hadn't got ready she knew she had to talk to the news.
Okay, so she put makeup on at your mother's, I guess would that be her grandmother's house?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so she put makeup on to get ready to go meet the news media.
Yes.
At the trailer park. And who was driving?
Lauren Mackey.
Who's Lauren Mackey?
It's my son's baby's mother.
Okay, so who is your son?
Stephen Hamby.
I don't think we have him on the flow chart here. Let's see. I'm not gonna, I think this is a dry erase board, but I'm not sure. I've got a family tree symbolic in case you wonder what I'm talking about. His name is Stephen with a P or a B?
P.
Okay. So Stephen Hamby is who now? That's Lauren Mackey's baby's daddy? Mm-hmm. Okay. So how old is Lauren, give or take?
I don't know.
Okay. Do you have grandchildren by her?
Mm-hmm.
How many?
One alive and one passed.
Okay. So she was driving, and who else was in the vehicle?
Her son,
And what's his name?
Jeremiah.
Jeremiah. Okay. And who else?
Me, Courtney, and Chris.
Okay. And where were y'all coming from? What part of the county were y'all coming from going down to the trailer park to meet the news?
On the access road at Riverside Park.
Okay. Do you remember where everybody was seated in the car?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, where was that?
Chris behind me, Courtney in the middle, Jeremiah in the car seat, Lauren driving, me in the passenger.
So you were in the front passenger seat, and Chris was behind you, and who was in the middle?
Courtney beside him.
Do you remember what Lauren was driving back then?
I don't know the name of the vehicle or anything. It was white SUV though.
Okay. if I told you it was a Nissan Murano crossover 2008 or 2009 model, does that sound about right?
Sounds right.
I'm going to show you State's Exhibits number 68 and 69. I'm showing you photographs of cars. It's not her actual car, but does this look like Lauren Mackey's car? What it would have looked like back then?
Yes.
Yes, okay. Your Honor, I'd offer States 68 and 69 into evidence.
Mr. Carr? Admitted without objection, each exhibit.
Okay, so just to be clear, I'm going to put this up on the screen. Ms. Hamby, 68. And can you point, I think if you just take your finger and draw like on the screen, it'll show me where, put a P where you were sitting in that car. Do you see your screen? It may not be on animation. There you go, try it again. There you go. All right, now put a L where Lauren was. Okay, and then where's Courtney?
This is Chris, this is Courtney, and this is Jeremiah.
Did y'all hear that?
No.
On the left, she said that's Chris. That second C in the middle was Courtney. And Jeremiah is the J in the baby seat.
Okay, so if we're looking at, on State's Exhibit 69, the back seat, we know for sure where you and Lauren were, because she's driving and you're the passenger, but on the back seat, from this rear view then, would it be the opposite, Jay?
Chris would be here,
Mm-hmm.
Courtney here, and Jeremiah here.
Pam, you have to speak up because we all can't hear you.
Chris on the very right, Courtney in the middle, and Jeremiah on the left.
Okay, and was he in a car seat?
Yes.
Okay. As y'all were traveling down the road to go to the trailer park for the video for the news media, I guess it was to do like an interview or something for the news media?
Yes.
Okay. Did y'all get some news inside that car? Did somebody call and relay some news?
Yes.
What was that?
That they found the baby.
And who was it that called, do you know?
I think it was Courtney's Aunt Kim.
Okay. And was that a call that was on just Courtney's cell phone, or was it being broadcast in the car through the, I guess,
It was
wireless?
just on Courtney's cell phone.
Was it on speakerphone?
No.
So you couldn't hear what was being said?
I could hear a little bit.
What was the gist of the message that came through?
That the baby was found and it wasn't alive.
Was there any indication of where it was found at that time?
I think that she said in the woods.
And what happened when y'all got this information?
Just everybody just freaked out, kind of started screaming this and that, but I can't remember exactly what was said.
And where were y'all at when this call came through?
Pulling up to the red light on 36 at Marathon, McDonald's, and
Okay.
CVS right there.
When you're talking about the Marathon there at 36, is that the road where Johnny's Pizza is as well?
Yes.
And the CVS and McDonald's is right there on the, okay. I'm going to show you State's Exhibit 88. Do you recognize this area here? Is that intersection? But this is 36 here, and this is the bypass.
Johnny's Pizza here.
Right.
Okay, yeah, we were here.
Okay. John, I'd offer State's Exhibit 88 into evidence.
Admitted without objection.
Okay, so which way were y'all traveling? Y'all were coming down Eagle Drive?
See, the ones over there.
Okay. Let me just,
She can step down and stand and point it out.
okay, if you will, Miss Hamby, that'd be great.
You
Now-
attorneys may move.
just to be clear, this is, the trailer park is gonna be, what, south? This is the Chevron down there at 213, you know where that is? Okay, and the trailer park's gonna be down past that south. So y'all were heading to the trailer park, right? So which way were y'all coming from? Were y'all coming down this way, or were you coming down from east side, or were you coming down 36? Okay, because y'all were coming from the access road.
Right.
You got to speak up, because this lady has to take down everything.
We were coming from the square.
Okay, from the square in Covington heading south, and then you got to this intersection where y'all sitting at the red light when that call came in? Okay, thank you. You need to return to your seat. Tell me what happened when that call came in. What, after everybody started hollering and crying, and what did Chris do?
He got out of the car
And where was that at?
at the red light.
Did you help him get out of the car?
I can't remember. I told him to get out of the car because I was afraid that guns were going to be put on the car and my grandbaby was in there.
Okay, and why would you tell him why would you think that there were going to be guns put on the car?
I didn't know who was responsible for what had happened. You know, just thinking that somebody might have had done something wrong, that, one of them maybe had done something wrong and the guns were going to be drawn. I just was thinking about my grandbaby. I didn't want my grandbaby to be in the middle of that.
So your first thought when you learned that the baby died was that either your daughter or Chris killed their baby?
No, not that they, just that everybody might have thought that they did.
Well, didn't Chris tell you that? Didn't he say something to that effect?
He said that they were going to think that if they found it anywhere near their home, that they were going to think that they had something to do with it.
You, that night after Chris jumped out of the car, you went to the sheriff's office and were interviewed, is that correct? Do you remember this
Yes.
man right here interviewing you, Jeff Alexander?
Yes.
And do you remember giving a statement to him?
Yes.
And that statement was recorded, did you know that?
Yes.
And you actually had an opportunity for me to play that statement for you in preparation for this trial, is that correct?
Yes.
And when you listened to that statement, as I pointed out to you on the day that I played it for you, you never told the investigators that night that you told him to get out of the car because you were concerned for your grandchildren.
Yeah, I don't know why I didn't tell him that.
In fact, you stated, quote, Courtney, and they said they found the baby and started telling more details or whatever, and he said, they're going to think it's me. They're going to think it's me, and jumped out of the car. Is that correct?
Yeah, he did say that, and he jumped out of the car, but I told him to get out of the car also.
Were you trying to protect him then, because you knew that he had done the
No,
murder?
I was just worried about my grandbaby.
Well, I mean, I'm not trying to be ugly, Pam, I'm really not, but with all due respect, you weren't even involved in your grandchildren's lives. I mean, you weren't involved in Caliyah's life or Clarissa's life, were you?
No.
So, do you want the jury to believe that this grandchild was more special to you, or you were somehow involved and you didn't even raise your own daughter?
Just because I wasn't involved doesn't mean I still don't love them.
Did you have any reason to be concerned about the police stopping y'all?
No, not at that time, because I don't think they knew what vehicle we were in or anything.
Well, then how were they going to pull guns on you?
We were going to pull up to where everything was going on.
Did you not think that your son, or I guess it's your son-in-law and your nephew, let's see, it's your nephew and your daughter's boyfriend, but did you not think that it would be important when the baby was found for him to go there to where his child was found?
Yeah, but to go there by himself, not he didn't have to arrive with us.
Why?
I didn't want my grandbaby in the middle of that. I just didn't know what was going to happen.
Well, I mean, the only way that makes any sense is that you assumed that Chris killed your grandbaby.
No, I didn't assume that.
Well, then why would you be concerned?
All thoughts went through my head. I didn't know that if he may or may not have, I didn't know either way, but I didn't want to take any chance.
And you understand that what you said that night when you went to the police department was just, what, hours after this happened? Would there be a reason why you would have lied to the police on that night?
I just wasn't thinking about me saying, get out of the car.
Well, I mean, that's a pretty important thing, right? Like, you know that for hours, not only are the police, the sheriff's deputies, swarming all over that part of the county, but all the citizens are out looking for Chris McNabb. You know that, right? You knew there was like an hour-long manhunt for Chris McNabb. You know that?
After the baby was found.
Right, after he jumped out of the car. And you're not going to tell Investigator Alexander that you're the reason he jumped out of the car, that you told him to?
He didn't have to jump out of the car.
Listen to her question. Listen to her question. Ask your question.
With all that was going on to locate him, why would you, how could it slip your mind, as you said? I guess it just slipped my mind. I forgot to tell him that I'm the one who told Chris to get out of the car.
I don't know how.
Well, you told the police something very different. It's not that it just slipped your mind. You told the police that he jumped out of the car because he was afraid that they were going to think he did it.
I didn't say he was afraid. I just said that he said that they're going to think.
Well, what is a person who runs? Are they not the person who's afraid?
Well, he was running in the direction to where they found the baby. He wasn't running away from it.
He was running through the woods.
But it was towards the park where they lived. It wasn't the other direction.
But he was running through the woods.
He didn't have anywhere else to go.
You didn't go inside the Chevron station or the Marathon station and say, hey, deputy, come pick me up. Take me to where my baby was found, did he?
No, I don't guess so.
He didn't use that cell phone that he had in his hand and call the police and say, come pick me up. I didn't do this. I want to clear my name. Take me to where my child is laying. He didn't accompany the woman who just gave birth to his child, did he?
Questions that you have her on direct.
Overruled. Go ahead and ask your question.
He didn't. He jumps out of the car, leaving the mother of the child that just gave birth to his child 2 weeks ago to go by herself over there to where the baby is found.
Yes.
Are you saying he was a coward, or are you saying he's afraid?
I'm not saying either.
Then why did he jump out of the car?
I have no idea.
Did y'all have drugs in the car that night?
No.
Did y'all smoke drugs together that day?
Smoked a blunt before we left.
Thank you. Those are all the questions that I have.
Carter?
Thank you, Judge. I'm Anthony Carter. Just have a few questions for you. Just to go back over, this is October 8th, the day after Caliyah went missing and the day that she was found. Is that correct? And you, Courtney, Lauren, Chris, and Jeremiah were in Lauren's car.
Correct.
Lauren driving. I think we've been through where everybody was. And Courtney received a call on her phone. Is that correct?
Correct.
And you said somebody told her that the baby had been found, and they gave her some other details. Now, was it apparent at that time that the child was dead?
Yes.
Okay. And at that point, you said Chris became worried that they were going to blame him. That's what Ms. Zahn said that you said, right? You also told Investigator Alexander that Chris didn't just say they're going to blame me. He said they're going to blame us, meaning him and Courtney. Is that correct?
Right.
And he asked you to clarify that several times, and you said no. He said they're going to blame us, right?
Right.
Okay. And then you say that you told him just get out of the car. You told him just to get out of the car. Is that right? Now, the only thing that you didn't tell Investigator Alexander that night, only thing that you missed out of what I just said was the fact that you told him to get out of the car. Is that correct?
Correct.
Now, Ms. Mackey's car, this model of car, actually has child protective doors on the back, does it not? So you had to get out of the car.
I think I did.
You had to get out of the car and open the door for Chris because he wasn't able to open his door. Do you recall that?
I think I did.
Okay. other than forgetting to tell Investigator Alexander that you told him to get out of the car and that you had to get out to open the door for him, is there anything else that's different from your statement that you gave to Jeff Alexander that night and what you're telling this jury today?
No, sir.
Okay. Do you have any doubt about the things that you're telling us here today?
No.
Thank you, ma'am.
Mr. Frost?
Thank you. Ms. Hamby, you don't have a particularly good relationship with your daughter, do you?
It's not bad.
In fact, you've got, what, 7 kids?
Yes.
How many different fathers are there?
5.
And you only raised, out of those, 2 of those, correct? The others were all raised by their father. Now,
Yes.
but you're actually closer to Chris, aren't you?
No.
Didn't y'all have a secret Facebook account so that you could go behind my client's back?
He had secret Facebook accounts to keep from Courtney to talk to people, but it wasn't just me and him.
But y'all got together on certain occasions and
No.
had little...
Absolutely not.
Y'all never had any...
No.
And you weren't doing drugs that night?
I smoked a blunt.
And you're not protecting Chris today, are you?
No.
Ms. Zahn?
Pam, do you remember saying that Chris said if they found it, I'll let you read that last line here, where it says, and he said, and read it in the microphone, what you told the police.
And he said that if they found it anywhere near the house, they were going to blame us.
And the it that he was referring to was his 14-day-old baby. Yes or no?
Yes.
That's all that I have, Judge.
Mr. Frost?
Nothing more.
You may step down. Now, ladies and gentlemen, this time is when we're going to go take our view of the scene. We have it lined up with the vans out there. The vans are going to have waters. They're going to have bug spray in case somebody wants to spray themselves, because I don't know. This is a woodsy area, and I just don't know what's out there. As I've already indicated, I'm going along. Each attorney's going along, just to view ourselves what transpires. This is a situation where they're going to drive out there, and you'll be taking these vans and being allowed to exit the van. We'll have one person who's Captain Kitchens, who's going to direct you about where to walk. He might point out things, I don't know what, but he'll point out whatever needs to be pointed out. But you're not to ask him questions. He can't give you anything other than just to make the sheer statement. This is so-and-so, this is so-and-so. Then once you've had an adequate time to view the spatial distances and everything and kind of put it together, we'll come back and get back in the vans and come back up here. Now, I want to know whether, unless I see a need for it, perhaps I can allow them, when they get back up here in the vans, just to be recessed. Is there any problem with that from everybody? But I would want the attorneys to come back in, and we would go back on record here to make a record of if anything happened or not happened. So you might want to take your things with you so you don't have to come back into the jury room. Okay? Now, I'm going to send you back to the jury room so you can get yourself put together. Use the restroom if you need to use it. And then I'll have the bailiff, y'all knock on the door when you feel like you're all ready to go. And then we'll lead you out to the vans. Remember my other comments. This is the only thing we're going to do as far as investigation. And it's not even an investigation, it's just showing you the scene. Otherwise, you may do nothing to investigate this case in any kind, form, or fashion. You may not read anything, see anything on the news, look at anything on Facebook for the reasons I've stated earlier. You're not allowing anybody to talk to you or talk to anybody about this case. And I'll ask you tomorrow morning when we reconvene at 9 o'clock again tomorrow morning, the questions about did anything happen. And I always want to tell you, don't ever feel like you're in trouble yourselves, because you're not. But I need to know the answers so I can take corrective actions. With those comments, I'm going to excuse you back to the jury room. For the media, it would make it a lot simpler. When I used to watch those Superman programs, they would wear fedoras with press stuck out of the hat. So if y'all would just simply start doing that, we could identify who was media and not. Otherwise, I don't know, how many of y'all are going? Do we know? We got 1, 2, 3, and then the cameraman who's outside 4, and whoever's outside is going. I would suggest that y'all, if you don't have a common vehicle, that y'all go out and get your vehicles and be ready. I'll try to kind of coordinate, if I know where y'all all gonna be over in the Covington News parking lot, we'll try to coordinate to make sure that everybody's going at the same time. Okay, but y'all can go ahead and go now. We're finished here. We're gonna be in recess for y'all to go use the restrooms, and then I want y'all to congregate back here, and the bailiffs will take you back into the holding area that we can go out the portal that way. Okay. I've told the media personnel that they can accompany us, and there'll be one person with a camera. They know how to do it, so all they're gonna get from y'all maybe is your legs, your feet. But I've even taken it to the further cautionary step of saying, I want to see the film once they come back to ensure that there's no way they can identify any juror. So don't freak out if you get out there and see somebody holding the camera. Okay, there you go.
Can you hear that?
But I don't have a good side, so don't be trying to angle yourself around. They're both equally bad. I'm just kidding.
Probably right here.
Come on up here and talk to them. Okay. I'm going to obstruct this. Yeah, Mr. Now you can get down there and dig it out a little bit if you want to.
I can't help that.
Yeah.
For a runner, you can handle it.
The body of an infant girl, Caliyah McNabb, found in the woods not far from her family's home. Today, jurors visited those woods. It's a year and a half after her death. Her parents are on trial for her murder. Late this afternoon, the jury went to the place where Caliyah was buried in a shallow grave. Prosecutors wanted them to see for themselves how someone might have taken Caliyah from her parents' mobile home, then walked into the woods and left her body wrapped inside of a bag. It was 700 feet from the family's front door. And the details of what happened to Caliyah so excruciating, her parents broke down in court as they heard them today. John Sherrick is at the courthouse in Covington.
They could not look at the horrific crime scene photos and the autopsy photos that the jury was seeing displayed in court. Photos of their infant daughter, Chris McNabb, and Cortney Bell shaking in tears, hearing the GBI medical examiner Laura Darasaw describe how someone killed their 2-week-old daughter Caliyah a year and a half ago with at least one blow to her head.
It represents a very, very significant force. She sustained this extensive head trauma and then died.
Caliyah's parents trying to show that someone else kidnapped Caliyah from their mobile home and someone else killed her, trying to show that detectives never even tried to gather any evidence that might have pointed to someone else. The crime scene investigator admitting to McNabb's attorney that he should have.
If you were on trial, you would want those things done, though, right?
Correct.
Prosecutors continue to focus on what they believe to be the parents' guilty behavior and actions and changing stories. Testimony against the parents may continue for several more days.
So you had seen the dad,
Yeah.
but not...
Never met him or spoke to him or anything. I didn't even know that there was a new baby in the house.
Did you get that impression that there were any problems, or did you...
I've heard some noise, but I've never heard screaming, arguing, hollering outside.
Okay.
So
you're pretty close, so I mean,
yeah.
if there was something really loud, and you didn't hear anything over the weekend, right? You were here?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I didn't.
And what was it like to wake up Saturday morning and see like police out
My
here?
daughter came over and said, there's police everywhere, Mama. Something's going on there in the backyard. And I said, well, I wonder what happened with Les and Kathy next door. I know them. And she said, I don't know what it is. And I came out from the store and couldn't get out and went around the news vans.
Right.
And that's when they said that the baby was missing. Somebody had gone in and kidnapped the baby out of this house.
And were you...
They went in. That scared me, you know. So somebody had gone in and the baby was gone. And somebody said she was 9 weeks old. Somebody said she was 2 weeks old.
Right.
I didn't.
You knew she
know.
wasn't too old because you hadn't even seen her.
I hadn't even seen her yet. Yeah, and then I was out here with my little dogs when her daddy was out here talking, and he said, I just want my baby back.
Right.
And it made me cry.
Yeah. Okay.
Because it said his baby's gone.
Right.
I had prayed that whoever had her, maybe it was somebody that, you hear about that all the time, people wanting babies, they'll steal somebody's baby, and hoping that she was alive. I'm sure she wasn't. And I don't know. He was so sincere.
Or we thought.
And he killed her. He killed her. And it scared me to death to be right here. But I don't, nobody knows why.
Right.
And something must have snapped with him or something. And I don't think that, and they've got a 2-year-old. I don't think he would have hurt that baby unless something snapped.
Right. I guess that's what's so hard to understand.